What's going on, guys? This is Guys at Magic. I'm Dave. We also have Hunter
Yo.
and Shane with us today.
Hola.
This is going to be our Commander Review Part 2. Today we're going to be looking at the first half of some of the multicolored commanders from the Modern Horizons 2 set. Seeing as how that there are 11 of them in total, we're going to break this up into two different parts. So for right now, we're going to be focusing on the first 6 in alphabetical order, and then we'll jump into the second half for part 2 of the video. So, first commander that we're going to be talking about, I can't pronounce this. Hunter, you had it down earlier. What are we looking at?
This is Asmoranomardicadaistinaculdacar.
Beautiful.
You almost stumbled on that.
No, dude. Asmoranomardicadaistinaculdacar.
There you go.
Dude, he knows his phonics.
I was like, he said it 6 times earlier, and now he's like,
Asmoranomardicadaistinaculdacar. There you go.
You got it.
I'll say it again if you want.
No,
I heard it 4 times.
I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Took me a while.
All right, so this is a card with no mana value. Okay, shit for this. It's a legendary creature. It's a human wizard, and it has a little pip there next to legendary creature to signify that it is both red and black. It says that as long as you've discarded a card this turn, you may pay a black or a red to cast this spell. And whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You can also sacrifice 2 foods, and target creature deals 6 damage to itself. Oh boy, what do we think about this one?
I'll start. I'll say I don't like it. I'll say it right off the bat. This is not a good card.
Wow.
Yeah.
This card is awful.
The reasons I don't like this card is because it has this entire middle text box that says "Go get the cookbook." Once the cookbook's dead, dude, it doesn't do anything anymore.
But dude, you're in red-black. Obviously, the color of artifact recursion.
Yeah, you splash green.
Splash green.
I mean, no, red actually does have artifact recursion. I wasn't being sarcastic, you assholes.
And why do you say it like somebody that's slow?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really care too much for this card either, though. I'm with Hunter on this one. Is that like it doesn't do much if it doesn't have the cookbook, and it's a red-black card that cares about food. And there are how many red-black cards that actually make food?
Well, you see, all the food cards, there's 34 cards, but 19 of them are green. So I feel like if this would have been a good food card, it should have been green.
Or try.
If this was Jund, that'd be dope.
Yes.
See, I'll say this. I had this down as being a terrible card, and then Game Nights uploaded that Post Malone video, and Jimmy was using this card, and I thought to myself, oh man, am I wrong? And then he casted it, and he did something, and then it died, and he never casted it again, and this card was terrible. It's just as I thought.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. I really also don't like the fact that, like, in order for this to do anything, it has to run the cookbook too. So I feel like it's almost like a pseudo partner commander, but it doesn't actually really do anything for you. It's not super impactful, and it doesn't add an extra color or anything. So I don't know. I don't like these kinds of effects.
Yeah. Well, what kind of decks would this be in, or helm?
I can see this leading like a madness deck or a food deck. My issue here being is that like this is going to be one of those legendary creatures that wants to be doing 2 different things, and those 2 different things don't necessarily overlap. Your madness cards don't always make food. Your food cards don't really always care about madness. I feel like you're going to have like a split deck that you're trying to Frankenstein together. And from my experience playing those kinds of things in the past, they typically just kind of fall apart and look like shit at the table.
Yeah, and I just don't see enough food cards to make this super viable in red and black. So for that,
I don't like either.
For that, I will give this, if we're moving on to grades, I'm giving it an F, man. I wrote it's too cute to be viable in anything.
Completely agree. Seconded with an F.
I gave it a C. But I also don't like cards I can't pronounce, so maybe it should be an F.
I like how you gave it a C and then you give it a criticism. All right.
I mean,
so just kind of looking at that, then we're going to give this thing an average of a D. It's a low D, but it's a D. Alrighty, moving on.
Oh.
Next up, we have Carth the Lion. Carth the Lion is 2, a black and a green for a legendary creature, human warrior. He says, when Carth the Lion enters the battlefield or a planeswalker you control dies, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a planeswalker card from among them and put that into your hand. Put the rest of the card, or put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. He also states planeswalker loyalty abilities you activate cost an additional +1 loyalty to activate, and he's a 3/5.
Wait, what the fuck? I read that totally backwards. This card's trash. All right, sorry. Go ahead,
Yo, tell us why it's trash, Shane.
bro. I thought you got an extra loyalty counter when you activated a planeswalker.
You do.
I know
That's exactly what it
do.
is.
I thought you said they cost an additional +1. That
Yeah. So if it's a
Oh.
+2, it counts as
that's
a
just bad
+1 on
wording.
top of
I'm
that.
so confused.
It is the wording on this that does make it
Dude, what the
a little
hell?
confusing at first glance.
Yeah, because obviously it's not a. I mean, it is a cost, but in cost you're thinking negative, but then you're whatever. Okay.
So, like, there are some funny circumstances with this. So, if you play a planeswalker that, say, enters the battlefield with 4 loyalty and it ults at 5 loyalty, you can technically do it immediately, which is cool. And this being black and green is neat. I like those color pairings. I feel like if I'm going to play something like this, I'm going to be playing Super Friends, and I would just rather be playing Atraxa if I'm playing Super Friends.
Wait, can you explain that
Yeah.
to me real quick? If it comes in as 5, this doesn't make it less to cast the ult, right?
It does. It cheapens the ult because that ult is going to have an additional +1 associated to it. So instead of like having that needing to get to 5 before you can ult, you can get to 4 and then ult at 5.
This
So it
is
makes your
such a
planeswalkers ult
confusing
faster.
card. This is such a
What?
confusing card then.
It's a weird card.
Okay.
I just look at it
Giving
like this. I mean, like if you're playing Super Friends, some of the best planeswalkers are blue, which you can't fit into this.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. So are
Ooh.
you saying the only decks that are available is Super Friends?
I mean, that's kind of what I see with this. It's really cool that it does have the ability for it to dig for a planeswalker. With it being able to look at the top 7 cards of your library. So I can definitely see how this thing snowballs out of control and how it's not. I don't think that this card is bad per se. It's just it's not my favorite thing out there. I think that there are better alternatives that already do this exact same strategy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna counter that and say some of the best planeswalkers out there are no colors, and those would fit right in this deck.
So like you're talking about like what Ugin and Karn then, right?
Yeah, baby, the best planeswalkers in the world.
Best
Think about
ones
it.
in the world.
What are the most
I mean-
played planeswalker? Okay, Jace, but whatever.
I'm not even talking about Jace. Honestly, I'm just talking about some of the other blue planeswalkers out there, things like Teferi or things like Narset.
Yeah, but those have a different game plan. You're right, I guess.
I mean, it's the same game plan. You're going to win by Super Friends, which essentially is like you're trying to lock your opponent out, or you're trying to prevent, like, you're trying to create a situation in which you can't be interacted with because emblems just don't go away. Or you're either trying to like lock your opponent out of the game because you're trying to make it to where it's like they just can't do anything.
Yeah. But think about all the lilies that you could have on the field at once, or all the Nisas, dude.
That'd be really
That's
cool,
pretty
but you can
cool.
also like do that with a different card too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is a budget version. Super Friends is like $3,000,000.
You're talking about a budget version with one card. So you're saying you're gonna add the expensive planeswalkers in it anyways?
Right. No, the budget is the fact that you don't have to look at different colors. You look at only 2 colors.
I guess
Where
if you're saving
Atraxa, you're
money
looking
on
at 4
lands.
colors.
I don't know. If you're wanting to build Super Friends, I mean, you go big. I feel like this is a strategy that like you're gonna have to invest a pretty penny in to make it really hum. So might as
Damn
well
shit.
do a good version of it. I still think Atraxa is just much better for this.
How about I
So
just
what did
get some
you
money real
what,
quick, dude?
what's your grades here, man?
I'm giving this a D just because it's not a bad card. I mean, actually, if anything, I feel like I'm grading this a little bit harshly here. It's just like I don't see me ever wanting to actually play this and then like finish up that game and not have the thought of like, man, that would have been so much better if I had blue and if I was just playing Atraxa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Shane?
gave it a D too, but I still think it's cool. I think that it's a budget version, and Hunter, you just cheated, dude. You can't do that.
See, I originally wrote F for this card. Right? But I think it would fit in a super. I think it's a good commander, but it would go into a deck with Super Friends. So I said there's better options to do the Super Friend thing, so giving it a D originally was an F. But it's good in a deck.
I can second that too. And I mean, whenever we're going about talking about grading for this, we're really just kind of looking at it from the lens of this card as at the helm of the deck, so as the commander for it. I think that this fits into a Super Friends deck rather nicely because now you're reaching those ults significantly faster, and this thing allows you to dig for more planeswalkers at a cyclic pace. So I think it has a home in those decks. I think it's wonderful in them. I just don't think he's the general for it.
Bingo.
Bingo, bango, bongo, dude.
Moving on.
All right, next up we have Chatterfang, the Squirrel General. Everybody loses their shit over our fuzzy friends. He is 2 and a green for a legendary creature Squirrel Warrior. He's got Forest Walk. It also states if one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead. And you may pay a black, sacrifice X squirrels. Target creature gets plus X minus X until end of turn. He's a 3/3.
Yeah.
I want to hate this card so bad.
The reason he's not in monocolored commander is because he does have that black pip in his description.
Yeah, so his color identity is both green and black, so he's multicolored for this. We got a
Bingo.
Squirrel Tribal commander. What are our thoughts? Let's go with this first. So, what do we think, just based on the fact that we get a Squirrel General, a Squirrel Commander here?
Awesome.
I hate that.
Oh,
You know, the running joke in the Magic community is squirrels taking down Emrakul. And I think that's hilarious. But then Magic said, we'll play into that a little bit. And then started making squirrels. They made a handful of squirrels and everyone was laughing. And it's just really funny. And then they made Toski, which was the first squirrel to go into standard only a couple sets ago. And then Modern Horizons 2 came out and said, yeah, you know what? Let's just go big. And they printed 13 cards using squirrels. And people rejoiced. We love squirrels. However, I don't think there's enough squirrels to do anything with it.
And you're the tribal guy.
I am the tribal guy. I do love me some tribes. But Squirrel Tribe is not... there's not enough squirrels to build around it yet.
So you're saying it's not there yet, huh?
Not there yet.
Got it.
But if they make Modern Horizons 3...
Oh, God.
Oh, God, no.
Well,
yeah, just Squirrel Tribal is the deck that I think it would do.
So, I want to hate this card. I want to hate this card so badly. I think this card is actually pushed as fuck.
is that why you gave it a D?
Oh, I gave it a D because it's a fucking squirrel and I hate squirrels. I really hate this meme. I think I'm completely in agreement with Hunter here. I think squirrels was really cool for like the unsets, but like we're getting to that point where it's like, okay, the meme is dead. Like I no longer give a shit. Actually give us like legitimate real cards. And on the first glance at this, I look at it and like, okay, well, this is a way for you to be able to make large numbers of squirrels, which is cool. That's a way for you to be able to like flush out a tribe that only has 13 creatures in it. And then the more that I look into this, the more that I start to realize that, wait a second, he actually doesn't really care necessarily so much about squirrels because it's not like he's pumping squirrels. He cares about tokens.
Yep.
And he's got a sacrifice engine on him for only a single black mana where you could be nuking, because of the plus X minus X, you could be nuking your other creatures. So he's got removal stapled to him, which could be pretty powerful. I also see a potential for him to go very wide because, I mean, it's just tokens. It's not even creature tokens. Whenever you make food, you make a squirrel.
Right. You do have to sack the squirrels, though.
I mean, yeah, okay, you have to sack the squirrels in order for you to get the minus effect. But I still look at it like he's in green-black, which is already at like an aristocrat's color. So it's those kinds of colors that care about things like Blood Artist, where it's like whenever your creatures are dying, you're going to be draining your opponent. And then also on top of that, add into the fact that now he's also killing your opponent's creatures. I think this card is actually really, really, really pushed, but I still hate the fact that it's a squirrel.
So you're telling me that your letter grade is extremely inaccurate. Got
Yeah,
it.
my letter grade on this one. I originally wrote down a D on this. I think honestly, I could easily. I'm gonna put this guy as like. I'm gonna say he's a C. I think he's a good commander. He's not necessarily great. I think B is where I start to get to the point where it's like genuinely good, and then A is like an all-star within the format. So I'm gonna put him as a C and change my idea, but I still fucking hate the scroll thing.
I mean, it
You know,
sounds like you're hyping up this guy to be a B.
I think he's really good
the
for
more you
what
think
he
about it,
does.
the more you're like, wait a minute. We got all these new pest tokens. A bunch of pests. It can make squirrels with pests. Squirrels are pests. Mind
not even-
blown.
I'm not even thinking about the pests, dude. I'm just thinking about like other utility pieces. I'm more so interested in the fact that like you can do this with clue tokens.
Got some
Yeah,
raging
sure.
clues, dude.
You can do this with treasures. You can do this with any kind of token that you actually like. Any kind of token of the game. He makes squirrels.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's when he's in play.
The
Other
dude
than
is a
that,
3-mana 3/3. It's not going to be very difficult for you to play this. And he's in green, which is the color of rampant big mana. I don't see him going away. I don't think you're going to get to a point in a game where he's just going to become so ridiculously expensive with commander tax that you're not going to be able to play him most of the time.
well, I'm sticking with my original grade. I gave him a D. I said 2 little squirrels to choose from to really take advantage. Keep making squirrels? Question mark. Then it'll be more powerful. I don't know.
I have a feeling I know what's going to happen next, Hunter. Somebody's going to
What?
make this and bring it to the table, and we're going to lose to squirrels.
It's not going to be me.
Oh
It's gonna
yeah,
be-
okay.
is
It'll
this
be
gonna
Hunter.
your
He's a
commander?
tribal dude.
No, it's going to be.
Oh, see, I
it's gonna
said
be David.
no. I said
David
no.
likes the
2
David
little
likes the
squirrels.
shit talk. Yeah, I gave it a D too.
Yeah.
My reasoning was I don't give a shit about squirrels.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Plus, these guys are like human feet, dude. I don't know. It's just weird. All right, I'm done talking about our little guy there. Let's move on. Next up, we have Garth One-Eye. He is a white, blue, black, red, and green mana for a legendary creature human wizard for the strangest fucking card ever printed. He has tap. Choose a card name that hasn't been chosen from among Disenchant, Brain Geyser, Terror, Shivan Dragon, Regrowth, and Black Lotus. Create a copy of that card with the chosen name, and you may cast the copy. He's a 5/5. And Wizards of the Coast decided to piss on everybody's streams by not printing tokens for this. There's no Black
Yeah.
Lotus token.
Yeah.
I'll make you one.
Draw it yourself, dude.
I saw
Um,
that where somebody was like, "Here you go, dude. Here's your little like chalkboard. Like you can draw whatever kind of token you want to make with this." But it like still that irks me.
Really grinds your gears, huh?
It does.
See, at first when I saw this card, I was like, well, that sounds dumb. And then I started reading comments and looking into this more and thought, all right, I should have known because 5-color is always OP. And I feel like that's just what this is. It needs it is OP. And the reason I say that,
I don't know if he's OP.
I think he could very well be easily manipulated and broken.
I agreed that he could be broken, but I don't think he's OP.
That's the guy that's like, I'm gonna do a fucking turn 2 combo where I make 1 billion stuff and you die.
Look.
That's you.
All right. So him. Okay, I get your point that yes, being 5 colors is a big deal because it does mean that you can play literally the best cards in Magic. You don't have a restriction in terms of what colors you can or cannot play. The big thing with him, though, whenever I look at like other 5-color generals of things like Kenrith or Sisay, is that this guy actually costs all 5 to get out, whereas the ones that I just mentioned, all you got to do is pay white. And then they just happen to be the color identity of all of the other ones, so they're much easier in terms of just like mana for you to be able to sink into them. I do agree, though. This guy is definitely a really powerful commander in that you can make him. You can make him go infinite. You can blink him if you have some kind of haste enabler. If you have some way to continuously blink him in and out. So the one that I'm kind of looking at here being like the Deadeye Navigator combo, where you just kind of flicker him in and out, and then you just continuously make Black Lotus tokens. So you can easily end up making infinite mana, and then with Brain Geyser, you can just make your opponent draw their entire deck, which at the beginning of their next turn, they're going to fail to draw a card and they're going to die. So I see how this guy has a huge amount of power. I don't necessarily think he's the best 5-color commander out there. I think you need to jump through a couple of hoops, and I think his combos are, I don't want to say the most fragile, but there's a lot of points that you could potentially interrupt him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
think.
what you said. Shane, you got anything else to say?
All I gotta say, dude, don't eat the member berries, man. I feel like this card's too nostalgic. Everyone's gonna be like,
I
I can't wait to
remember.
cast my Black Lotus, and oh, it feels so good.
I
Dude,
know
this whole
people.
set feels like a meme.
I mean, the
I'm
whole
sure it
set
can,
is
yeah.
just member. Shane's right. The member berries is the whole set.
Yeah, man.
Remember what this card does?
Which I don't think
Remember
is a bad
this
thing, I guess,
card?
but I don't
You
know.
remember squirrels?
I also don't like the fact that any 5-color deck always costs $1 billion because the mana base is not fun to build, right, David?
Yeah, mana base on 5-color decks is very expensive.
So there's that.
So what decks do you see this in, David?
This is 100% degenerate combo. I don't think that you build this deck without having like an infinite loop or several infinite loops for you to just make a shit ton of mana and just nuke your opponents with it.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think he'll ever actually be played fairly where you're just sitting there and you're like, guys, this game I made one whole dragon.
Hey, man, you never know.
Hey, I made a Shivan dragon. That's it.
I'm going to give him a B. I think that he's really powerful. Having access to all 5 colors is another plus for him. Like I mentioned earlier, though, I feel like he's not necessarily the best 5-color commander out there, and that he is a little bit easier to disrupt, and he's also slightly harder to cast than many of the other ones that, if you're going to be playing 5-color, you're probably going to take a look at one of the other ones instead.
Yeah, I also gave it a B. I said this can be easily broken, but it might be too cute to always make it work. So, yeah.
I gave it a D. I just don't like the fact that it's the nostalgia stuff, but I guess that's call me stupid.
I mean, I'm cool with your grade. All in all, this averages like a C, 2 Bs and a D. It's like a C. It's a high C.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up. Next up, we have General Ferrous Rokiric. I've been reading that dude's name wrong. I definitely did not. Okay, whatever. He is 1 red and a white for a legendary creature, human soldier. He has hexproof from monocolored. I don't like how it doesn't say like spells and creatures or something like that, just hexproof from monocolored. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token, and he himself is a 3/1. All right, Hunter, these are your colors.
I love me my Boros. Some notes I had for this card. Solid Boros commander. It actually encourages you to really play Boros cards.
Yeah, this is Boros to a T. Do you like to turn your card sideways to deal damage? If so, Boros is for you.
Yeah. It's really cool. It dodges most removal spells because most removal spells are just monocolored. So this is just like, you can't hit me.
So I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I disagree on that. So yeah, this dodges a lot of removal spells, and that like some of the most popular ones in the format being things like Path to Exile or Swords to Plowshares. That's not going to hit this guy. However, a Terminate's still going to kill it. Vindicate's still going to kill this. I don't know. There's still a lot of other options out there. I mean, like you could have, I don't know, whatever you want. Because I mean, like whenever I was looking at it for like most commonly played removal spells in the format, of the top 10, I think this dodged 6 of the top 10, which is still, I mean, that's 60%, but still, I mean, it's not like this overwhelming number where it's just like, okay, well, you're never going to be able to get rid of this guy.
Still better than half.
Yeah, I think that the hexproof from monocolored could potentially be really good whenever it comes to creatures, but it's not protection, so he's not guaranteed to actually be able to push in for that damage. And with him being a 3/1, he's got itty bitty booty.
He's got an itty bitty booty. He does indeed. That is the one downfall of this commander. A 3/1. Why? Why?
I mean, he's a general. He's supposed to be just like chilling back and telling his soldiers, "Hey, go off and go fight."
Well, he's a pussy, and he makes 4/4s to fight for him.
He does make 4/4s.
4/4 is pretty good.
So
Yeah,
where he lacks in courage, soldiers make up for.
His little legion there does not have itty bitty booty. I actually really like this guy. He reminds me a lot of like Hero Precinct 1, or like a super swole version of like a what is it, Young Pyromancer, which I think that's dope.
He makes a really big butt.
What decks do you see this
Um,
in?
so my first thought here just being just kind of a general go wide strategy, something more than likely around around the lines of you playing like control. So I did put down like Planeswalker control for this, because it has that hexproof from Monocolored. I don't know. I think it's cool. Maybe you're playing this with a bunch of Gideons and Chandras, and I don't know. You're just trying to like continuously hurt your opponent's board. I don't know, because it's whenever you cast a multicolor spell, I take back my Planeswalker control. Some weird kind of control that also wants to be aggressive and push in damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking myself out of this card.
So stop
You just
talking,
said you
dude.
loved it.
Stop talking, dude. You're chilling.
What's your grade?
I'm gonna give him a B just because like I think he's a cool card. It is obviously just Boros aggressive, and this is not new for them. This is something that they've done literally 9,000 times prior to this commander. So it's cool. It is gonna dodge a lot of removal. It's gonna dodge a lot of creature-based abilities. That might come back to bite you in the ass though, because like you're not pumping him. But then again, your entire deck is gonna be multicolored, which means your entire deck is basically going to try to just be Boros.
Shane?
I like it. I also misread this card completely. I made a note saying that this card is going to be Garbo. I read that it has hexproof from Multicolored. So I'm like, well, this motherfucker's just dead the minute you play him, or like it's not going to make it back to you. So I had to erase all that or cross it out, obviously. And I think it's stronger. So I give it a B.
Yeah, I also
Spellslinger,
gave it
baby.
I also gave it a B. I wrote it's a fun Boros commander on its own, and it pretty much fits into any other Boros commander pretty well.
I originally put this down as a B. I think I've talked myself down to a C on this thing.
You don't get to do that, dude. You're done.
I'm done. Whatever. Let's move on. There's
I'm
a lot of
kidding.
reasons that I'm not going to get into.
Average is a B.
It would be a B. Either way, it would be a B.
Either way. If you want to
All
be a
right.
C, then just be you. Okay, you're a C now.
I'm special like that.
Yeah.
All right. Last part for this video, we have Grist the Hunger Tide. Grist the Hunger Tide is a black and a green for one of the most interesting Planeswalker commanders that we've ever gotten. It's a legendary Planeswalker, so this one is actually not a legendary creature. But it says as long as Grist the Hunger Tide isn't on the battlefield, it's a 1/1 insect creature in addition to its other types, which means if it's in the command zone, it happens to be an insect creature and it is legendary. So this thing is valid actually as a commander for your deck. It starts with 3 loyalty. Its first ability is a +1, and it says create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill a card. If an insect card was milled this way, put a loyalty counter on Grist and repeat this process. He's got a -2 that says you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker. And he has a -5 that says each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. That is a lot of text.
A lot of text.
Sure is.
All right. Shane, I want to hear your thoughts on this one first. I feel like Hunter's been taking the wheel for the most part.
Yeah, Hunter sucks, dude. I'll tell you right now, I love this card. You guys were saying that you didn't love it. I want to build it. I like the fact that it could potentially ult right away. I like that it would play along with the standard deck that I played for a while, which is that pest one Thunder was talking about. I can just imagine creating a bunch of little insects and killing them, and this guy ulting, and then dealing like, what was it, 9? Or no, that's a different card.
Each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard.
You're right. That's a different card. Either way, I like this. I like it. Yeah. Oh, I had a question for you before you go off too. If it's a 1/1 in your command zone and it dies, does it need to like does its tax get more? Like what happens? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's still gonna have commander tax. It's not. It's a 1/1 in power and toughness. It's not a 1/1 in terms of like mana value. This thing costs 3, so it'll go from 3 to 5
Right.
to 7 and so forth and so on.
So if it's in your command zone, but it's a 1/1 on the field and it dies, does it already go to 5?
Okay.
As a,
Yes, its power and toughness ratio isn't gonna affect its mana
I-
value.
yeah, I thought the fact that it dies though.
Also, it's a 1/1 insect so long as it isn't on the battlefield. If it's on the battlefield, it's a planeswalker. If it's in
Right.
your hand, command zone, graveyard, exiled, if it's anywhere else, it is considered to be an insect.
Right. So you don't understand what my question is then?
I guess I'm not understanding what your question is.
All right, it's in the command zone, right? You've not played it yet. It's turn 1 or 2. It's a 1/1 on the field though, right?
It's a 1/1 not on the field.
It's not on the battlefield.
I'm confused. What the fuck?
So
What are you
long as it
confused about?
isn't on the battlefield, it's considered a creature. The second you have this thing enter play, it's no longer a creature.
Then why is that text relevant?
It's
Because-
relevant not for commander.
Right. So if it's not on the battlefield, it is considered a
Oh.
creature.
I thought that like it was in the command zone, but a creature on the field at the same time.
No,
That would be dope.
don't give them ideas.
Okay,
No, this
take
is
everything
really
back
cool,
I
and
said.
it's really cool that it's worded that way because like if you are playing this in a constructed format in a 60 card deck and you happen to have multiples of these, if you mill into this, he triggers on himself because he counts himself as an insect.
Got it.
So it's good because like it gets rid of the multiple problem. I still think it's very unique. I think that this card is potentially powerful. My biggest critique of this, however, being is that like there's not really a whole lot of good insects that I would want to play. So I feel like you have to have a critical mass in order for you to consistently make that +1 really do a whole lot. Yeah, you're going to be making this insects. So it's the same kind of thing with like the squirrel commander who like makes more squirrels. In fact, they're actually the same color, and I feel like they're fighting for that same archetype of the aristocrat style deck. My issue being though is that like you're probably not going to be milling all insects, at least not consistently, whenever it comes to this commander. So you're going to potentially get some upside occasionally where you mill like 2 or 3 in a row, and this dude's loyalty shoots through the roof, and then you can just ult him the next turn, and then hopefully you can, I don't know, deal a decent amount of damage to somebody. My other thought on this thing is we just talked about a commander that dodges most common removal. Most common removal does not hit planeswalkers. So the second this thing actually enters play, he's not going to die to a path. He's not going to die to a fatal push. He's not going to die to a terminate. Wait, I got to be careful here with my choices. But there's a lot of removal that he's not going to die to.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I said about this card. It's a very cool way to get the Planeswalker as commander. I think they should do that more often instead of just writing, this Planeswalker can be your commander. It should be able to be something when it's not on the battlefield. That's very cool. I also said that it can hit really hard late game. If you have a lot of insects in your graveyard, this comes down, and you can ult, it's gonna hurt quite a bit.
So it actually doesn't care about the insects in the graveyard for its ult. It's just creature cards.
Just
Which I
creatures,
think
right.
opens this up a lot. Because if it were only insects, I mean, realistically, you're probably not going to be hitting for a whole lot.
No, but I mean, I think it's way better with insect tribal. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to argue that like there's not a whole lot of insects in the game. We're running into the same issue as like the squirrel commander. Is like you're saying that the squirrel commander is only as good as the number of squirrels that are in the game. There's not a whole lot of playable insects. So are you going to be like forcibly playing a bunch of bad cards to make your commander do something?
Yeah.
I think there's way more insects than what's it called?
There's more insects than squirrels, yeah, but I mean like a lot
Yeah.
of insects are crap.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, insect tribal is way more than squirrel tribal.
See, this right here is why he is our resident tribal guy.
Yes, there are more than 13 cards. You're correct.
Bingo. That's all you need.
All you need is 13 cards, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, more than 13.
more than
All right,
13, and
whatever.
that's just so that you could beat the squirrel.
Hey
Yeah.
man, insect tribal. That's a thing.
I'm gonna give it a B. I like the card.
I'm gonna give it a C. I think it's very unique. I also really love the fact that, like, your point with this, Hunter, and that it doesn't just say this planeswalker can be your commander. It's actually an interesting take on it. So I love the fact that it has this.
I gave it a C. I said it's a good insect tribal commander, but doesn't really extend further than the tribe.
You were just arguing that this is so good because of
Yeah,
whatever.
what the fuck?
This thing is.
I argued the fact that it was better with insects.
You know what? You got it, coach.
All right, whatever. All right, so on average, this thing is a C. So that's going to wrap it up for our first half of the multicolored commanders from Modern Horizons 2. We will be back with part 2 of this video, in which we start to look at the other, or the remaining, multicolored commander cards. And then after that, we'll go ahead and talk about just kind of the general overview of which one we thought scored the best as a whole, and which one we thought overall scored the worst. So thank you so much. This has been Guys Hit Magic. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video and follow us on social media.
Love it, dude.
Peace.